2022. Tonight there is Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for January 31st of 2022. Tonight there is 8 games. I will be going over the spreads and over-unders. I got my spreads from FanDuel, and then the over-unders are just my thoughts on what the games will end up as. For the Pelicans at the Cavaliers, I will lean towards Cleveland -10, as of right now, it's not clear if Ingram or Valanciunas will be playing for New Orleans, so if they aren't, of course take the Cleveland -10. Like, Cleveland should win that game, no problem. And then for sure an under 216, as Cleveland's defense should take care of the Pelicans, no problem. And then Cavaliers aren't really known for their extremely high scoring games, so hence I lean towards an under. But let's just say if Ingram and Valanciunas do end up playing, I think Cleveland still wins. I'd probably still take them for the -10 spread, as both those two players would have to get back to the groove of playing, and I think Cleveland would take advantage of that overall. But I'm pretty confident this Cleveland -10 spread that they put out, and Cleveland should win, and they will win due to their defense. For the Clippers at the Pacers, so before I even mention my spread, I wouldn't bet on this game's spread-wise, as you just don't know which, for both these teams, you don't even know which team is going to show up. Is it going to be the one that's going to score a lot, or the one that's going to play good defense, or the one that's not going to show up at all? So hence, I wouldn't bet on the spread for this game at all. But if I had to, I'd lean towards Indiana -2, due to the fact that the Clippers played last night and the Pacers didn't, and they're also playing at home, so a little boost for them as well. But I will lean towards an over for this game, as last time these two teams played each other, it was a very high-scoring game. Both had over 130 points. I believe it was 133 to 139 for the Clippers. Will they score that much again? Probably not, but will it be a low-scoring affair? I don't think so. So hence why I'm leaning towards the over 221.5. And then if you want to build a parlay, especially for a game like this where it's like a bunch of players, so the spread is going to be spread out more evenly for a game like this, I just put like a player or 5, just making like 1 or 2 threes in that. And if you can have like 2 assists for a player or 2, they're just consistently in the game. Just have them get like small amounts of points and rebounds, and you just build a parlay off that. But overall, I just lean towards just the scoring for this game, not really who's going to win the game. For Memphis at Philadelphia, I'll be going with Memphis +3.5. So Memphis is part of like those top teams in the West, the top 4, who are overall better record-wise than the Eastern Conference as a whole. And this is just going to be a matchup of like a top team from the East and one of the top teams from the West. And I'll just have to lean towards Memphis, as against these top teams, they just always seem to come out with a win, and it's hard to bet against that. So hence I'll be taking Memphis +3.5. I think they have enough tools. They have enough like high-energy players to slow down Embiid, make him have to work. So I'll have to force the 76ers to rely on their role players. So Tyrese Maxey, he's going to have to step up. Tobias Harris, he's going to have to make some plays. And then for Memphis, like, their role players just going to have to keep on playing how they've been playing if they want to win this game. Just get the loose balls, grab the rebounds, just make sure the 76ers don't get those extra easy points. I will lean towards under 220, as Philadelphia during these games, they seem to just fall apart or just not show up completely. So I wouldn't be surprised if Philadelphia scores under 100 points, but do I expect that? Not really, but I'm just saying there's probably like a 30% chance that will happen. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But I think overall, this will stay under 220, even if Philadelphia does have a good game, but it'll probably be around there, like a 220 game. But I'll lean towards the under 220 for now. For the Kings at the Knicks, I'll be leaning towards Sacramento +6. So for both these teams, I don't have a whole lot of faith in either, but I have less faith in the Knicks. And if this turns into a shootout, I think the Kings can outshoot the Knicks. If this turns into more defensive, I think the Knicks should win. Well, obviously they should win this game, but even if it's defensive, I think overall this game will be closer, as the Kings, they just have to push the pace, just put some pressure on the Knicks for them to stay close, and that could ultimately win them the game. Like between like Heald and Halliburton, Halliburton has been playing well, so if there's a player to bet on this game, I'd bet on him. Just like a couple threes, at least like 5+ assists, 5+ rebounds, and like 12+ points. That's decent odds that are likely to hit. But I think Sacramento can keep this game close and win, just because the Knicks win by their defense, not by their offense. So if Kings are going to win, it's going to be by their offense. That's why I'm leaning towards the over 210.5, because I think the Kings, they can probably score 115 on the Knicks, but it really just comes down to the Knicks. Can they score like more than like 95 points? Like if the Knicks score 105, they should win. If the Kings score more than 115, they should win. For the Heat at the Celtics, I lean towards Miami plus 3.5. So for this game, I probably won't touch the spread, as you really don't know which team is going to show up for Boston. Like, is it the team where they're just making all their shots? That's a tough team to beat. Or they're locked down defensive? That's also a tough team to beat. But is it going to be that team that just shows up for neither? That's also possible too, as you can literally just check their past 10 games. You can literally see 2 instances of like all that, of them just not showing up at all, them on fire, and them just playing no defense, or just playing stellar defense. But Miami, they're a little bit more consistent. But if I were to lean towards a team in this game, I lean towards the Heat, as they're just more consistent overall. Because Butler's just one of those players that keeps his team in line. And then there's a lot of hard-working players on the team, like Hero and Robinson. But this should go under 220, as I expect a more defensive game, as most the Miami Heat and Boston games, total scores usually end up between like 212. 212 and 218, somewhere in that ballpark. So betting under 220.5 will continue with the average of that, and will be a probable hit. For Toronto at Atlanta, I'll be going with Toronto plus 3. So Atlanta played last night in a close game, so make them like a little bit more gassed against Toronto, even though Toronto a day ago they played in triple overtime, but I'd rather have a day off than playing last night. So I'll just lean towards Toronto plus 3, but overall, I won't touch the spread for this game either, as Atlanta is the hottest team in the league right now, besides the Suns. And I don't know, when you're on a win streak, you usually keep on winning, hence why you're on a win streak. So I do expect a close game, though, overall. But I expect if Atlanta played last night, they're going to try and win that game in the first half, or at least I would try to. Put Toronto just in the dust, but I think it'll be a close game. I will expect this to be a high-scoring game, too, as Atlanta, they can put up points on the board, but I think their defense will lack because they played last night. And Toronto should be able to take advantage of that. They got Siakam, Anunoby, Fred VanVleet. Like, they have tools that'll keep them in the game. Just for a game like this is just another one of those games where you can just choose like 5 players to hit a 3 and just maybe push a little, like make a parlay for Trae Young or Siakam, just like what their 3 stats will be for rebounds, points, and assists. Like, obviously for Trae Young, you can have like 28 assists and like 3 rebounds, if you can go that low for rebounds. And Siakam just have like a 25 and 5, and those are probable. Not crazy, but they're probable stat lines. For Golden State at Houston, we go with Golden State minus 10.5. So Houston, one of the bottom of the barrel teams, and then Golden State towards the top, second best record in the league. I think it's Golden State by 10.5 is very reasonable, especially if the Warriors, they play their defense how they've been playing the defense. Houston's going to have a hard time scoring, and if Golden State are making their threes, having an even attack on Houston, This should be easy peasy win for Golden State. I will be going under 230.5 as I expect Warriors to really clamp down on Houston. Like if the game slows down like to a slower pace, Houston's just going to have a hard time scoring the ball as they get their points on the break, or that's just an easier way to get points is just if it's up and down, you just have more shots, get more points overall. But Golden State games tend not to go over 230, so that's what I'm going with, the under 230. For Portland at the Thunder, I'm going with the Thunder +3. Overall, I probably wouldn't touch this game for the spread as you never know which team's going to show up for the Thunder, and past 7 games that they lost, it's been closer games. Like some have been pretty close, but they just end up losing. This is honestly, like I said, this past few games for the Thunder, it's like maybe this is the one, but I'm not feeling it. That's why I'm not going to touch the spread on this game. As Portland, like McCollum, can just lead his team, make some threes. The rest of his team can make some threes. That just kind of pushes the Thunder to try and score, which is something they struggle with. But Portland doesn't play great defense, so if there's a game that Thunder's going to score, it's going to be this game. Hence why I'm going for over for this game for over 215.5, as I think Portland will be able to score as they've been playing better overall. They're figuring some things out. They're on a little bit of a uptrend, so hence I'll be going the over 215 as their offense. That's what's been winning them their games, and I expect that to continue. But I expect this to be close overall, hence why I think Thunder will put together a good offensive performance against Portland. But overall, this is a game that I would not touch, or unless you just know how Portland plays and you just know how the Thunder play, go ahead. But for me, no, I would not touch this game. Thank you for watching. Comment your predictions, any player pops, spreads, over-unders. Leave them down in the comments. And once again, thanks for watching.